Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and dear colleague. I am an independent researcher after an academic career at Sciences Po Paris as professor and executive, and a diplomatic career at the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, where I was dealing with international security, including crisis management. Today, I shall deal with the new features of economic crime in the aftermath of the health crisis. In order to build and implement an efficient and effective counteraction, we have to understand the trends of economic crime and the new challenges we are facing. A risk-based approach is based on alert to new and illicit risk. Therefore, it is necessary to look at the consequences of the coronavirus crisis, consequences of the lockdowns, and consequences of the continuing crisis on economic crime and money laundering, if there are any. Yes, there is an impact of the COVID-19 crisis on economic crime. The confinement has accelerated the digitization of the economy and of society itself. Of course, this trend existed before, but by the force of circumstances, lockdown and the continuation of the pandemic have brutally reinforced it. From this point of view, there will be no back to return to normal, but a new normal. I am here talking about simple and well-known things that we all do: teleworking, e-shopping, e-banking, e-learning, e-leisures, etc. All activities amplified by the lockdowns and which remains amplified after the lockdown. This increase in the digitization will continue for years to come. The need for protection against the virus should lead to a limitation of the face-to-face to human person. On the one hand, a significant part of the population fears the disease, including among the workforce, even if there are very important differences between countries according to social mentalities and system. On the other hand, the health protection of people at work has a high cost. Accelerated automation of the workstation, massive recourse to artificial intelligence, intensive use of remote working is and will be implemented and accepted by population and businesses, even without voluntary policies led by public authorities. Digitization applies not only to economic activity, but also to social activities, virtual meetings of friends or families, drink on the web, e-religious services, and so on. This digitization trend will be all the more strong as digital technologies still have dramatic potential for progress before them. Well, very interesting result in sociology and economics, but what is the point with economic crime? The point is that digitization reduces ancient opportunity of crimes, but offer new one. Lockdowns mean less cash-related activities, less travel and reduction of flights, mean less mules for illicit money transfer, etc. Yet, these elements imply more illicit use of cryptocurrencies. Teleworking, e-banking, e-shopping drives to more transfer of confidential data through unprotected or weakly protected computers and networks managed by incompetent individuals as well as often incompetent professionals. Cybersecurity implies competencies. Yes, competencies have a cost that most of the public does not afford. Most of us can think to their own digital security. Data leaks by incompetency is not a crime, but it is dangerous. Yet, we have crimes. Malicious data thefts are not exception. Malware sites abuse genuine good faith buyers and owners. Fake sites carry out exploitation scams such as trafficking in counterfeit medicines or fundraising for fake charities. Others will offer fraudulent investment opportunities. Fake news spread in social networks can manipulate stock prices on the stock markets. Extortion through ransoming will be paid in virtual assets. The digitization of the economy and the social relationships offer an increased vulnerabilities of society to cybercrimes. These are examples not coming from a fertile imagination, but from fact reported in media and in the specialized literature on the topic, including the Financial Action Task Force website. They illustrate the kind of cybercrime which can flourish in a space having so poor barriers and fences, and in a space so poorly regulated. The land is highly regulated. The space in the land is highly regulated. The airspace is highly regulated. The cyberspace is not. It is a new world, unknown in the sense that the expansion in new territories is constant, an uncharted world, a poorly regulated world compared to the species of goods, species of services, the species of capital or of human beings. And it is a global world. Regulations and cyber law enforcement authorities as well are not global. So the cyberspace is a good ecosystem for economic crime. It is a wide space in need of sovereignty and rule of law. Let's be clear. This is neither a critic of the tremendous effort done by those who tackle the challenge, in particular the last report on the FAF on digital identity is of major interest, nor it is a negation of the tremendous progress made by the international community in countering money laundering. My point is just that there is an abyss between the global nature of cyberspace and the local nature of regulation. The governance of the digital sector remains a challenge for the rule of law and the democracy. In the European Union, the cyberspace is marked by its fragmented nature due to the legislative and regulatory differences between member states, whether in terms of cross-border e-commerce, consumer protection, online service portability, online administration, contractual law, intellectual property law, or the fight against illegal content. Interchangeability and normalization are insufficient at union level. The absence of a unified European cyberspace makes the work carried out by supervisory authorities more difficult, both in member states and at European level. In short, beyond the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, there is no unified market to be regulated and no EU authority to regulate. But what is true at the EU level, it's true at the global level, even more, characterized by fragmented jurisdictions and lack of international regulation. Digital sovereignty, that is to say sovereignty on the cyberspace, is just rule of law in the cyberspace. Yes, today, the actual rule of law is basically a juxtaposition of national laws in a globalized international space with extraterritory of certain national law. Therefore, it's a world full of loopholes. The European Union is in charge of building an expressive strategy toward European digital sovereignty. It should take into account the growing threat of prosperous economic crime in that space. At the global stage, we are badly in need of progress on these issues. Let me wrap up the message. With regard to economic crime and money laundering, the digital sector is even more important than ever because the digitization of our economies and societies is spreading due to the health crisis. Yes, that cyberspace is poorly regulated and not at the good level. A field of opportunities is expanding to criminals. Don't forget anti-money laundering and economic crime in the building of digital sovereignty. Thank you for your attention.